Welcome. It's WagerTalk Today this Thursday, November the 16th. And yes, it is a Prez free zone. Unless you're on a golf course in Canada, then you better beware. But this is a Prez free zone on WagerTalk TV. And I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez. He'll be back tomorrow on Friday, joined as always by my co-host Teddy Covers. And we have a great show on Thursday. Lots of NFL talk as we're going to break down the Thursday night game from a point spread perspective and also from a player prop perspective with Marco D'Angelo, Andy Lang, and also UFC event in Las Vegas this weekend, which means Kyle Anthony, fight expert, will be on at the end of the show as well to break down some UFC best bets. Teddy Covers, let's get right to it. Marco D'Angelo, Teddy, both from Vegas. I'm on the East Coast. We're balancing it out here on Thursday. And Marco, throw it over to Teddy to get right into Thursday night football.
Well, Marco, how you doing this morning?
Ha!
No doubt. That makes for a great Thursday. Let's talk a little Thursday night football. I was on the show as a guest on Tuesday, the $2 Tuesday handicapper this past week. And I came on and did a couple of big game breakdowns, including one on the Thursday night game. I made a case for the Baltimore Ravens minus the 3.5 against Cincinnati. Today, you're going to give the other side of that argument. You like Cincy plus the points against Baltimore. Tell us why.
Yeah, Teddy, this is one of those spots, and thank God. Let's first embrace that we finally got a good Thursday night game. I mean, this is going to be a good one. AFC North, coming into the season, there was a lot of hoopla about Baltimore signing the big contract extension for Lamar Jackson. They went out and got him offensive weapons and everything, and everything's been good. Baltimore's rolling along. Cincinnati, slow start. But we know why they had that slow start. Joe Burrow didn't play in the preseason, had an injury in training camp. It was a lingering injury. Basically played the first month of the season on one leg. And during that first month, week number 2 to be exact, these two hooked up in Cincinnati, and Baltimore got the best of it. Right now, Baltimore is 7-3, and you got Cincinnati with 5 wins. If Cincinnati, I hate to use the phrase, we talk about must-win situations, but this is a must-win situation if they have any hopes of winning the AFC North. If they fall behind 3 games in the win column to Baltimore, it's in essence 4 games because they would have lost the season series 0-2. They need to win this game. I always like in division rivalries, if the home team loses the first game, like to look at them in the rematch. And both teams are coming off what you got to say is ugly losses last week. For me, Teddy, I got to say the Baltimore loss was more alarming because they had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati might have been a slight case of looking ahead. They came off of 2 big games in a row, San Francisco and Buffalo, and had this game on deck on a Thursday night. I look for them to get back in it. And I'll give you one stat that sews it up for me. The Bengals, the last 3 seasons, as a dog of 3.5 to 9.5, perfect. 8-0 against the spread. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Give me the Bengals on Thursday night.
So part of rationale for liking Baltimore in this game is your thought talking about Cincy from last year and the year before and their trends and how good they've been in this role, et cetera, et cetera. It looks pretty clear to me at the halfway point, Cincy's not as good as they were last year. And Baltimore may well be better. Cincy can't run the football. They can't stop. They're ranked 31st in the NFL stopping the run right now. They're struggling to rush the passer. Sam Hubbard's not going to play tonight. Baltimore, 2-0 straight up, 2-0 ATS off a loss. Do any of those factors bother you here? Or is it just, look, it's too many points in a game that's going to be decided by a field goal?
Yeah, I agree with you, everything you're saying about, Cincinnati being a step down from last year's team, and Baltimore has been improving. But a lot of those numbers that you talk about with the offense was when Cincinnati, the offense was handcuffed. Burrow was not good in the pocket. He couldn't move around. Teams were stacking the run earlier in the season. I think this is just one of those AFC North games. We see them with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. We see them with Pittsburgh and Cincy, and we see it with them. They're close games, and that's what I'm looking at in the must-win. But I can't disagree with you 100%, Teddy, but I'm on Cincy tonight.
Marco D'Angelo, WagerTalk.com. And, I don't do the Thursday games in my Fade the Public info, but some of the consensus data that I do look at is showing Cincinnati maybe as a little bit of a public dog tonight. So we'll see how that plays out. At plus 3.5 would make sense. And Marco brings up a great point about Burrow. The last 2 seasons, go back, look at his quarterback ratings. His 2 or 3 worst quarterback ratings of the season have mostly been in September. So we will see if he's turning things around this season. Turning things around is a good segue to Marco D'Angelo's Cleveland Browns on Sunday. Nope. It's Pittsburgh Steelers. I misspoke. Browns are good to me last week, Marco. I had them in that upset win against the Ravens. But your Steelers will be playing the Browns now on Sunday. I actually did a standalone solo video earlier this week on Tuesday here on the channel. I recommend people check out all the solo videos. We cover every NFL game, a lot of the top 25 college games as well, NBA games. Teddy and I both did an NBA game tonight on Thursday as well. So check out the standalone videos. But Mark, I'm interested to hear your take on this, as once again, this is your division. This is the other matchup on Sunday, Steelers at Browns.
Yeah, guys, and I've been dead on analyzing the Steelers. 4-1 the last 5 games that I've used to play involving with or against the Steelers. And that lone loss, yeah, it was last week. Missed extra point. Thank you very much, Green Bay. Cost me the win. So I go against the Steelers as much as I go with them. And I'm going against them this week. And I know, okay, hey, Marco, Deshaun Watson, he's done. Why are you doing this? Well, first of all, until last week, I don't know that Deshaun Watson really had that locker room in Cleveland. I mean, he's been more of a distraction than he's been an asset to the Browns. He did have a great fourth quarter last week, and that was all the hopes and dreams that every Browns fan thought of when they signed him. And then what happens? They pull the plug. He's out for the rest of the season. They decided to go with the rookie, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, UCLA quarterback. He's played 1 game, and it wasn't good. Okay, but now he's had time to get that 1-game experience. He's been able to take snaps in practice, learn on the fly, and had all the snaps this week for this game. The difference with the Steelers, the last 2 weeks, why they've had success, and I had them against Tennessee, and then last week they had success again. They face teams that you can run the football against. The Steelers' problem, Kenny Pickett and the Matt Canada offense does not put up a lot of points. They don't put up a lot of yardage. In fact, they've been outgained in all 9 of their games this year, yet somehow they have a 6-3 record. Well, when you can run the football, that hides some of your problems with the quarterback. And they ran the ball well the last 2 weeks. That ain't happening here. You're going against the top 5 defense in football in the Cleveland Browns. Throw in the fact Deshaun Watson's out. That throws in the old injured player theory. You know what teams do the first game when there's a major injury. And it comes down to the defense. I don't see Kenny Pickett and Pittsburgh moving the football in this game. I am going to take the Browns. It will be an ugly game. It is just like the other one we talked about, AFC North, low point total. This line has been crashing because of the Deshaun Watson news. Went from 4 down to a pick 'em. I'll tell you this much. If somehow Pittsburgh crosses over as a slight favorite, I won't be able to get enough teasers with Cleveland as well. I like Cleveland. No need to hurry to bet this one because the money's going towards the Pittsburgh side. Get the best number involved. I've got Cleveland winning 20-13.
So the Steelers have a pretty remarkable track record in 1-score games. They have 9-0 their last 9 tries in game decided by a single score. That's obviously the longest streak in the NFL right now. When you read some of the quotes from the Steelers, Alex Highsmith, the outside linebacker, quote, "It just shows that in these pressure moments, we come up making the big plays." The running back, Najee Harris, "I'm just so used to close games, I don't even realize it. That's just how we are." Is Pittsburgh's experience and success in these coin flip games in the fourth quarter, does that worry you at all in a game that's likely to come down to one play at the end? We're talking about a pick 'em game, essentially. And these games, we expect them to be tied or tight in the fourth quarter. And the Steelers keep winning all of these tight games, every one of them. Does that worry you here?
That goes to the coaching and credit to Mike Tomlin and have the players buy into that. And you're 100% right. If we're in the fourth quarter and it's a tie ball game and you can live bet, advantage goes to Pittsburgh. I'll give you that one, Teddy. But I don't expect the Steelers to be ahead going to the fourth quarter in this one. If you go back and look at the stats from the first game when they played in Pittsburgh, again, one of those games that Pittsburgh won that they should not have won. So I'm on Cleveland. I can buy that. If we're entering the fourth and it's a tie game, maybe I'll look for a little hedge on live betting in that one, because you are correct. They've been there and done that, and you have a rookie quarterback on the other side.
Marco D'Angelo breaking down the AFC North for both Thursday and Sunday football. And Marco has been red hot. And by the way, speaking of red hot, the Bet On It show is the biggest show on the network for the NFL edition every week. They put that up on Wednesday. And Marco, I know you give out a weekly best bet on that show, and I believe you're going for 11 in a row. So people might want to check that out here on WagerTalk TV. But you're also red hot in your best bets. 12-5 recent run, up over 20 units over the past week or so in all sports. Marco, what else you got going on at WagerTalk.com, WagerTalk TV?
Yeah, we got a special in college football. That going for 11 in a row, that's on the college edition of Bet On It.
Oh, I'm sorry,
college
yes.
Game of the week. Yeah, college game of the week. And in honor of that run, we are offering the rest of the college football season. That's all of my plays, the final 3 weeks of college, 2 full weeks, and then you got championship week and all of the bowl games, the run right up to the championship game on January 8th for $175. Every college football play, including 5% plays. Tremendous offer. Check it out at wagertalk.com. And, watch both shows, guys. It's been fun. We swept the board in college best bets last week. Kelly Stewart and Joe Ranieri and myself. It's been a very, very good season on Bet On It, both college and NFL edition.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I misspoke. That's the college edition, the second most watched show on Wager Talk TV after the NFL Bet On It edition. So once again, there is a college edition and a pro football edition. He's going for 11 straight free best bet winners on the college edition. So check that out. But more importantly, get his rest of the season special, the rest of college football at wagertalk.com for just $175. Marco D'Angelo. All right, Teddy. We're going to get to Andy Lang in a moment. He's going to talk some more Thursday night and Sunday NFL from a prop perspective. But in the meantime, want to know what you learned. There's 2 games tonight. I mentioned those solo videos you and I each did. You did the early game, I believe, Nets Heat. And then I did a video for the late game tonight, Thunder Warriors. And this kind of transitions, I think, what you're going to talk about. Draymond Green out. Stephon Curry out tonight for the Warriors when I did that video. And NBA injuries, do they matter yet?
Well, look, I still play supplement / normalize / stabilize my betting income, flat out. No shame in that. And to sell plays, they have to be up fairly early. I like to have my daily NBA card posted before I get on this show by 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's my goal. Don't always get there, but that's my goal every day, to have my card posted before I'm on air. And in the NBA, that inevitably is going to mean posting games with incomplete information. That's okay. Over the last 2 days, after I posted my plays, Trae Young was ruled out for Atlanta at Detroit. I got the over. The total dropped 5 points. Kyrie Irving ruled out for Dallas at Washington. I have Dallas. Line moves 2.5 points. I'm getting the worst of it. Giannis ruled out for Milwaukee at Toronto. I've got the over in that game. Total moves 3 points down. I get the worst of the number. DeRozan was out for Chicago before I posted. So the line went down. But then Caruso was in and Fultz was out for Orlando. And the line moved 1.5 towards the Bulls. I've got Orlando. Again, I get the worst of it. Key injury news after the plays have been posted in all 4 games. I got the worst of the number, really the very worst of the number in all 4 games. How'd they do? 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread, or 4-0 for myself and my clients. Free play on the Celtics yesterday. Recorded early. Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis ruled out after the video and the write-up. Philly went from as high as +5 down to pick 'em. The Celtics won by 10. That was a winner too, even if you lay the worst of the number. Bradley Beal was out for Phoenix last night, -6 down to -4. They won by 18, +6 in your pocket, useless. Closing line value matters. College basketball matters. College football matters. NFL. Closing line value in the NBA is a jar full of losing tickets. Now look, getting the worst of the number is not good, but sometimes it's going to happen in this sport. but freaking out about, oh, so-and-so's out tonight, so-and-so's out tonight, this guy's sitting, that guy's playing. As the results clearly show, don't freak out too much. The results clearly show that's not the case. Also, had to mention it. What a bad beat last night in Maction. Buffalo's down 23-10. They get a big play, 80-yard catch and run touchdown, under 3 to play, but it's not a touchdown. He gets down to the 1, or maybe it's the 1-inch line. He reaches the ball across the goal line, loses it, rolls out of the end zone. Instead of Bulls and over, it's Red Hawks and under. Just like that. Ouch. Avoid that tonight if you can. That's what I learned last night, Steve. What about you?
Well, I didn't have anything in the MAC game, first of all. I was neutral, but that was a good beat for Red Hawks and unders. There's always, it's 50-50 if it's a bad beat or a good beat. That's what I always love. And we always talk about the bad beats, of course, because studies have shown losing hurts more than winning, whether it's the financial markets, the betting markets. So that's one of the reasons it does work that way. And yeah, Teddy, getting back to the NBA injury stuff real quick. I said at the start of this season, I'm just going to blindly play the team that gets the extra 4, 5, 6 points when they're shorthanded, because it's hit about 70% the last couple of years. But it's hard to do. And like even tonight's game, you've got Oklahoma City just a couple point favorite at Golden State. It's a basic straight up win situation. It's a revenge spot for him from a few weeks ago. Yet, Wiggins, by the way, I mentioned Wiggins in my video. Klay Thompson and Draymond Green got tossed 2 minutes into the game against Minnesota the other night without Curry already in the lineup. They played with all three of their starters the whole game. They only lost by 3 at home against a very good Minnesota team right now. So it just shows once again, these are all college all-stars that are stepping in. And I think that's one of the reasons it continues to work in the NBA, and something we'll keep an eye on, because the betting markets, as Teddy knows, do adjust several points when these guys are out, and it keeps cashing. So something to keep an eye on tonight in that late game at Golden State. All right, let's get back to NFL pro football talk. We looked at some sides. Let's look at some props now with the prop master himself, Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com. And Andy, you've got a couple Sunday games, but first let's talk about this nice Thursday night game, Cincinnati-Baltimore. Let us know some props.
Well, I will preface this by saying it's not a great game for props, but there is one I kind of like. I think this is a pretty tough game to handicap from a props standpoint, so don't go crazy on this game. These are not going to be huge plays. But I do think you can make a little money off of taking Jamar Chase under his receiving total. This is a Jamar Chase that I don't think is anywhere near 100% healthy. 2 weeks ago, he only had 41 yards, and that was the game he got hurt in when he had 41 yards. So last week, if you just look at the box score, 124 yards receiving, you say, oh, wow, he must be great. But he had a 64-yard catch on blown coverage from Houston. Houston, not a good pass defense. Without that catch, only 60 yards, way under this total. Last week, he only had 6 targets. That's his lowest targets for the year. It's a short week, and there's no T. Higgins, and I think that might make it a lot easier for Baltimore to key in on Jamar Chase. Some of these other secondary receivers, I'm sure, don't scare them that much. Cincinnati, not exactly a juggernaut in running the ball, and this is a Baltimore team, 173 yards passing allowed per game. That's 4th best in the league. So I think it's going to be a tough road for Jamar Chase tonight. I think actually the secondary guys are going to get a few more targets. I just don't see Jamar Chase exploiting this defense. So give me the under 80.5 receiving yards.
So in my mind, that prop correlates with Cincinnati plus, because you're assuming that the Bengals aren't going to have to be throwing the ball on every down in the second half or in the fourth quarter, and targeting Chase again and again because they're trying to rally from behind. Would you agree with that assessment? Does that prop correlate with the Cincinnati side, or am I just seeing too much into this?
I actually think it may actually correlate with Baltimore exploiting the bad rush defense of Cincinnati. I think they're going to win the time of possession. Baltimore is here. They've got weapons that can run the ball. There's no doubt about that. The Keaton Mitchell experience looks really good. Gus Edwards is a really nice hammer. Lamar Jackson is obviously good. So I think Cincinnati, it's a primetime game. Unders have been, hitting, 79%. So I don't expect there to be a ton of points. Short week on everything. I do like Cincinnati in the points just because it's a rivalry game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. And if it is going to be a blowout, I certainly don't think it's going to be on Cincinnati's side. I think Baltimore controls it. And I'm putting a lot of stock into Jamar Chase, A, not being healthy, and B, not having T. Higgins. So this Baltimore defense is going to have a much easier time containing him.
Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com. And Burrow, some of his weakest QB ratings the last 2 seasons have come to the 3 games against the Ravens, but it's also a little misleading. The one was the finale last year, and then the other 2 were early in September. As we have established, Burrow has not been a good starter the last couple of years in September. So we'll see if he has a better game tonight. But they have gotten him for the most part over the last couple of years. All right, Andy, that's the Thursday night game, Ravens, Bengals. Let's look at some Sunday props that you like as well in the NFL.
I mean, this guy keeps hitting his over receiving total, Rachaad White. And the books keep hanging this number around this 24.5, 25.5, and he keeps going over. So it's at 25.5 right now. And he's had 65 yards receiving, 70 yards receiving, 46 yards receiving, and 47 the last 4 weeks. He's not just barely getting over this receiving total. He's flying over it. And he's got explosive plays. He has a catch of 20 or more yards the last 4 weeks. And last week, his total was 24.5. He got that in 1 catch. And it's a tough defense matchup. The 49ers obviously are a juggernaut, but they're actually 13th worst at defending receiving running backs. They give up 34 yards per game. So even if this game script gets a little out of control, 49ers obviously look great. They're getting healthier. I think Rachaad White's going to be involved in this receiving game. He's proven that he's a better receiver than he is an actual running back. So I think they're going to keep using him in the receiving game. So as long as they keep giving us this number in the mid-20s, I'll keep playing it over.
So Jordan Love has not been one of my favorite players this year. In fact, Jordan Love's not getting a Christmas card from me. I thought he would be better than he's been. I thought Green Bay would be better than they've been. That said, you like the matchup this week for Jordan Love. His passing yard total sitting at what, 226.5, I believe. Talk to me about the Packers starting QB on Sunday.
Well, I have a few notes here, but I'll just break this down in one sentence. Every quarterback to face the Chargers this season has gone over their passing total. Every single one of them. So it's just rinse and repeat. Take the opposing quarterback on the Chargers. The line last week, for example, the line last week on Jared Goff opened 266.5. Sunday morning, it was 277.5. That is a monster move. 11 yards on a passing prop. And what did he do? 333 yards. This Chargers defense cannot stop the pass. Teddy, you mentioned Jordan Love. I'll give you a couple of other names that kind of fit in this Jordan Love category. Zach Wilson, Tyson Bagent, and Aiden O'Connell. What do they have in common? They all had their highest passing totals of the years against this Chargers team. So the Chargers are giving up 291 yards passing per game. Here's how bad that is. Second worst is Tampa at 266. They're 25 yards a game worse than any other passing defense. And Jordan Love, listen, by hook or by crook, he's getting over his passing total. 229 against the Vikings, 228 against the Rams, 289 against the Steelers the last 3 weeks. Most of it is in the second half. He is a terrible first half quarterback. But when you get a juicy matchup against the Chargers, you just have to take the quarterback to go over.
Any concern about the weather at Lambeau in late November? The forecast looks okay, but it doesn't look great.
I think sometimes, you know what? Weather could be kind of similar to injuries in the NBA. Sometimes we overthink them a little bit too much. Like, oh no, there's going to be wind. And it's like, well, yeah, they're inside of a stadium. They've got walls. Like when they show pictures of the flags on top of the stadiums, like, look how windy it is. It's like, well, yeah, up there. So no, the weather isn't that big of a concern for me. And if it's going to bother any team, I guess it would be the Los Angeles team. So I'll take the Packers to keep this one relatively close. But I'm just fading this Chargers pass defense every week.
Yeah, remarkably, Andy, the Chargers, even with that awful pass D, and it is bad, by the way, just looking at, they give up 7.5 yards per pass. Teams average like 6.8 that they play. They went over for the first time since mid-September. The first time they had an over in 2 months was last week, that high-scoring game against Detroit. So it hasn't translated to the totals remarkably. And the Packers also went over for the first time since late September last week. So we'll see if it's a higher scoring game this week in Green Bay. That's Andy Lang, the prop master. He's got a darts best bet, I believe, which is it still available, Andy? I know you're on a great soccer run as well. We're not just talking L football here.
No, so we actually have darts parlayed with something that hit last night. So we just need to close out one leg on the darts play. The soccer play just kicked off in the European qualifiers.
Okay.
But I will say, listen, we want to promote something. Let's promote the college football bet of the week. We do one play in college football each week. We do one team total. We're 8-3. So we're number one in ROI and number one in winning percentage in college football this season. So we just need one bet to profit. And I absolutely love our play this week. So I expect this to go to 9-3. So grab that one bet, just one bet in college football. Let's extend the winning streak, and looking forward to closing out college football, the regular season, on a really nice run.
Yeah, and I talk about this every time we have Andy. It's sports betting is a form of investment. You want to diversify whenever you invest, and Andy is a great way to diversify your portfolio. He's doing soccer, darts. Teddy and I are not doing darts. I don't think anybody else is. And by the way, all jokes aside, he does extremely well with that. Just like the college football, one play a week. You have maybe one darts play a month, I think. Why not get it, right? It's just an extra winning edge you can put in your bankroll and your betting portfolio. So that's Andy Lang, WagerTalk.com. Teddy, I talked about those solo game videos. We do every NFL game. We do a lot of the college games each week. We're doing daily basketball videos. NBA has been a big hit. College hoops starts tomorrow. Check out tomorrow and Friday. There will be daily college basketball videos as well. 2 games tonight. I did a late night video, which is on Wager Talk TV right now for Thunder Warriors. I want to get your thoughts also, though, Teddy, on Nets Heat, which is the early game on NBA TV.
Sure. And of course, you can watch a more detailed video because you have a little bit more time in the videos than you do for a big game breakdown that I've done on this game, already posted at WagerTalk.com on the YouTube channel. We appreciate the more than 130,000 of you who have subscribed to the channel, all the likes, all the follows, all the comments. They're great. We appreciate it. Let's talk about the Heat and the Nets. These two teams played already this month on this court. 109-105 Brooklyn. They won. They covered. But they were +7 in that ballgame. Since that contest, Miami's won every game. They're 6-0 straight up. Both teams are rested. There's no back-to-back situations here. Brooklyn, again, they were +7 in the first meeting. The first meeting, they had Ben Simmons. They had Cam Thomas. Both played 34 minutes. We're talking about their leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading assist man between the two of them. All right. Miami, since that first loss, 6-0 straight up. And yet this time the line's only 3.5. What gives? Well, simple. It's the Nets. The Nets have played 11 games. They have one ATS loss in those 11 games. Solid defense, good free throw shooting, good team chemistry, and an underrated roster. Nick Claxton back as a big man for them. That's an impact player who the markets pay no attention to. They've only lost by more than 5 points this year to Boston. Twice. That's at least part of their point spread success. They're hanging around in these fourth quarters. Miami's the other end of the equation, the other end of the spectrum. They were the worst home favorites in the league last year. So far this season, and again, they won 6 in a row now. Their only home game in an 18-day span. This is not a, max intensity game for Miami. And so far this season, at -2.5 or higher, picking up right where they left off last year, 0-3 ATS for the Heat. They continue to fail in this favorites role. So I love teams like Brooklyn. No one's paying attention. They've got key guys hurt. The markets, they're starting to adjust. This line's clearly showing it. But Miami's a false favorite at home pretty much every time you find them in this role. Give me Brooklyn plus the points on Thursday night. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
And Teddy, I mentioned those standalone videos. I forgot to mention the NBA tip-off show. We recorded it early this morning, Brian Leonard, Rob Vino, and myself, and we analyzed both games in depth as well. And I actually talked about both the side and total in this Heat Nets game as well on the NBA tip-off show. So check that out right now. After this show's done, stay on Wager Talk TV, check out the NBA tip-off show, and then check out game preview videos from both me and Teddy for both of the NBA TV, national TV games tonight on Thursday. And by the way, if you like college basketball, the college basketball tip-off shows on at 2 o'clock Eastern live today on Thursday. If you missed Dan Alexander from the baseball shows, you get a sneak peek today as he will be guest hosting and I'll be on there as well to keep him in line. So 2 o'clock Eastern, college basketball. And then college football show will be up later tonight as well for Thursday's edition. All right, I talked about diversifying your portfolio with Andy Lang, all the props, the different sports. Well, another great no-brainer, in my opinion, is to add a little UFC to the mix. And there's nobody better at WagerTalk.com than Kyle Anthony for the UFC profits. And he's been crushing it for several years now, including this year. Kyle, great to see you as always, in person, kind of, virtual in person. Let's get right to it. We got UFC Fight Night at the Apex in Vegas. Preliminary card starts earlier than I expected, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 a.m. local time. So just want to make sure people don't miss some of those undercard bets on Saturday with all the college football. But let's look at the big one. What do you got here? I guess the main event. You want to start with that?
Yeah, we'll start with that. We got a wide line in this main event here. You've got Brendan Allen. He's minus 440 on the comeback. You've got Paul Craig plus 320. So when you're looking at this fight here, you've got Brendan Allen and Paul Craig. Both these guys are very much specialists when it comes to grappling, ground game, all of those things. But Brendan Allen's the guy that actually has really kind of elevated a little bit more on the striking side, where Paul Craig kind of has stuck to the, not really elevating the striking part, but really just doing what he can to get the fighters to the ground. Now, one of the moving parts to this fight is that this is the second fight for Paul Craig at middleweight. Now, normally I don't like a fighter moving down in weight at 35, 36 years old. Not a good look. But last fight was his first fight middleweight, and he looked great, cardio-wise, physique-wise. He didn't look drained. He went out there, got a second-round knockout victory over Andre Muniz. Impressive win overall, and that really starts to get the ball rolling for him here, because I think he could be the bigger guy. But when you're looking at kind of these guys' paths, it's going to be the grappling. It's going to be the takedowns. It's going to be looking to do that. And when you look at these guys, they're finishers. Both of these guys, when you're looking at it, it's Brendan Allen, 22 victories, 18 finishes, 13 by submission. And then you've got Paul Craig, 17 victories, 17 finishes, and 13 of those were by submission. So these guys are going to look to get into the cage, going to look to grapple, going to look to get the takedowns. And that's going to be part of this fight. But also, I think one of the big parts here, and why I think this line is a little bit too wide, is the fact that Paul Craig is moving down in weight, and his issue at light heavyweight was getting takedowns. He struggled with them. He wasn't able to get the takedowns, and now he probably will be the bigger guy. He will probably be the stronger guy, and that could help him in grappling situations, clinching situations. Those are the things that could help him overall. And also, these guys, when they get to the ground, they can finish guys, but they are not getting finished. When you look at it, Allen only was submitted by Trevin Giles back in 2017, and then Paul Craig back in 2018 against Jimmy Crute. So these guys are definitely, when it gets to the ground, they're knowledgeable. Now, the other side of it is that if this fight stays on the feet, a lot of times where two guys are heavy grapplers, it just ends up being a glorified kickboxing match, and they stay at range, and that could be kind of helping out Brendan Allen, where he could have the striking, he could have those things. But to me in this spot, I really believe that this fight is going to hit the ground. I think that once it hits the ground, it's going to be very even. This line will not look how it looks. If it stays on the feet, I could possibly see this, but these guys are grapplers. They're going to look to get the takedowns. I like Paul Craig here. Again, this line is way too wide for me, and if you want to add a little bit more, I like Paul Craig inside the distance since his finish rate is so high. He just finishes basically everybody. So get a little bit more, Paul Craig plus 450, or Paul Craig just to win plus 320, but I think this line's too wide, and I don't suggest parlaying this main event either.
Kyle Anthony says we got a live dog in the main event of UFC Apex in Las Vegas on Saturday. Look at Paul Craig at the big plus price. And why do we listen to Kyle Anthony? Well, he's only number one in ROI and winning percentage over the last 30 days in all sports, and he's on an 11-2 run in UFC action. The guy is making his clients money right now. Let's talk about an undercard matchup, and this is, I believe, the tightest line fight of the evening. Jonathan Pearce and Joanderson Brito. Pearce, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing him anywhere from minus 120 to minus 130. Total in this fight, 2.5. Heavy juice to the under. What do you want to do with Pearce and Brito?
Yeah, so in this fight here, this is going to be an interesting one because, like you said, it is a close line here. You've got Jonathan Pearce, wrestle heavy approach. He's going to be a gamer. He's going to go and he's going to move forward. On the other side, you've got Brito, who is explosive, well-rounded, athletic, and those are some great things. And that's really how he's found a lot of success. He is an absolute monster in that first round. He's going to move forward. He's going to throw shots. He's going to swing, get in your face, trade punches. And that's really how he's found success. 3 straight knockout victories in the first round has looked great. And that really can work out well for him overall. But also, he's a well-rounded guy. And you look at it, 15 victories, 6 by knockout, 6 by submission. So he is a well-rounded guy. But my issue with Brito is going to be the fact that he redlines it early. And yeah, he has shown susceptible to issues with cardio. And if he gets out of that first round, that's going to help Pearce a lot if he can go out there and he can get out of that first round. Now, the key for Pearce is going to be that wrestle heavy pace. And that's what he does. He will push the pace. He will get in your face. He will consistently dive at legs. This is going to be in the apex cage. I think that's going to help him a little bit. The apex cage is roughly about 30% smaller than the normal size cage. And I think if he's going to dive at legs, this is going to help him. Now, Brito, again, good on the ground. But even if he just gets Brito working up against the fence, draining him, getting him working, that's just going to slow him down further into the fight. And I also think it's a good stylistic matchup because if you look at it, Brito had 3 straight knockout victories, but the one prior to that is he fought Bill Algeo, who is very similar to the style and to the wrestling approach of Jonathan Pearce. And Algeo went out there, won a decision, controlled the action, cage pushing, keeping him up against the fence. And I do see that is going to be his path. And Pearce is not a guy that's just going to stand and bang. He's not going to do that. He sticks to the game plan. The guy averages 6 takedowns per 15 minutes. That is high. That is very high that he's looking to stick to that game plan. 56% takedown success rate. So this guy is going to look for the takedowns. And I do believe that this is a spot. Now, the line opened, I think it was roughly around like -170 for Pearce. Money keeps coming in on the Brito side. I don't agree with that. I think that, if you're looking on the Pearce side, this is probably the time to bet it. I think that this is a good spot. I think the path is there. And he also has all of the tools to just kind of hold him and work him over the 3 rounds. So I like Jonathan Pearce here, -130 to get the job done.
Jonathan Pearce at the short favorites price on the undercard from Kyle Anthony. Kyle, what do you have to promote this coming weekend? What do you have to promote for tonight? Tell your potential clients what they might get if they actually become a client of Kyle Anthony for this weekend.
Yeah, so we're coming off a big week. I was at UFC 295, and out of my 6 plays, 5 of them were plus money. We ended up making a little over 8 units last Saturday. Here's another spot where I've got 4 plays right now, 3 of them again plus money. Love these spots. Probably going to add 1 more before the night comes in. Feeling good about it, and UFC is going to end mid-December. We come back in January, so there's going to be a nice finish here for us to finish the year strong.
Strong stuff from Kyle Anthony. Best of luck this weekend, my friend. And that's going to wrap it for... Oh, is that you back, Steve? No, Steve's frozen. No, he blinked. He's real. That being said, that's still going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. If you like this type of analysis, please give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and join the more than 130,000 of you who have already subscribed to our YouTube channel at Wager Talk TV. Between now and tomorrow's show, best of luck with all of your wagers. Enjoy the games and cash some tickets.